And then let me share my screen. Okay, so standard weekly announcement of, hey, guess what? It's week, blah, blah, blah. You did good. You made it another week. We actually made it to the end. Yay, go team. And again, I reviewed the fact that you have your final exam coming up next week. Our exam time is Monday, 13th from 2 to 4. So if you have been taking your exams on the Kalispell campus, then your time that is set aside for you that you're supposed to take your exam is from 2 to 4 in Ross Hall 147, which is across the hallway from the Foundational Math Center. Laura, who is one of my fellow teachers, I team teach with her on some of my other classes. She will be the one who's administering the final in person. If you have been taking your final exams on the Libby campus, then you need to schedule a time on Monday to take your final exam there, okay? If you have another final from 2 to 4 on Monday, then you can take the final exam early in the Foundational Math Center earlier in the day. And then one of the other things I wanted you to know about that has to do with the final is that this Saturday, the Foundational Math Center will be open on the Kalispell campus from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It will be located in the library. There's Clinton's taking over some of the classrooms there in the library. And so you can go in and get help with questions that you have for the final exam. Obviously, before we can get to the final, we have to finish chapter 5 or unit 5, and you have your unit 5 test due on Wednesday. I will be grading the exams on Thursday, and I will be sending out any emails to people who are exempt from the final on Thursday. Tonight you have your homework for 5F due, so if you have not finished that, make sure you do that now. What else? Oh, one last thing. So we are doing a new placement exam. So in this little area right here, we're rolling one out, and I would like you to test it for us. This is actually a really good use of your time in preparing for the final, because the problems that you are going to be asked to solve could be on your final exam, because it's testing what have you learned. And so in order to do this, you're going to follow this link here. I'm going to click on it in just a minute, but then you'll notice that it says the easiest way to sign up is to use the sign up with Google link, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when you click this, it takes you to a website called Edfinity, and it's the math placement tool. So you can choose sign up with Google, and signing up with Google, obviously I have accounts already, but you would want to use your school FECC account. So for me, that's ewenner@fecc.edu. For you, it's going to be your first name, middle initial, last name at fecc.edu. And then I can't get into it right now. I apologize, because I can't create an account as a student, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It has you start a test 1, and then it will push you through based upon how you're doing. And again, don't stress. This is just, I want your feedback on, did anything weird happen? We're just trying to see how it looks on the other side and how our students are doing in general. So just try your best. And again, I will give you credit for completing this. And so that'll be a nice little tiny extra bit to your grade, right? Every little bit counts. So it'll be, you'll earn extra participation points for doing this, okay? So you can do that this week, and you can do it next week. So don't stress if you're like, I have no time this week, Erin. It's fine, do it over the weekend, right? Do it next week, whenever's fine. If you could just do it, that's all I ask.
Can we do it like after the finals and everything are over? Because I feel like any extracurricular right now is just not available. Okay.
Literally by if you could just do it by next Thursday, that's all I care about. By the end of the day, next Thursday, that's it. So yes, that's it. So that's everything I wanted to tell you about with the class. Any questions for me with what I just talked about? Okay. So, as you know, I released the final review. We have test 5 due this week. today and tomorrow, or not tomorrow, excuse me, today and Wednesday, it's all you. So you all ask me questions and we'll go over what you have questions about, okay?
I guess really quick. So since I'm taking the final as well on Wednesday, do I need to notify them and they'll just like already have that existing information that I'll be able to jump into that after the test?
I'm going to email Clinton to let him know that you will be sitting for the final after you take test 5, so that he's prepared for that. It's still password protected, so he would have to come over and put the password in for you as well. So it wouldn't be any different than a normal exam. Just that, you know, you'll just have to make sure you have enough time.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Questions? Homework questions?
Yes, I have a homework question.
Yeah, what's up, Liz?
Let me go to it real quickly so I can know which one I was looking at. I have to like go all the way back now. I know it was like question 6 or 7
On what, dear?
on tonight's homework.
Oh, 5F?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to preview it so that I can see, and I'll read the questions out and you can tell me. Oh,
It was
yeah, that's it.
Question 6, yeah.
Question 6. Okay. Got it loading here. So question 6 says, suppose P is invested in a savings account in which interest K is compounded continuously. My amount says 4% per year.
Yep, same for
Okay. So the first part, we're writing our exponential growth function in terms of P and 0.04. So it gives us, let me share my little writing screen with you. So it says, so we have P of T equals P times E to the K T. And compounding continuously at 4%. So K is equal to 4%, which we put into our equation is 0.04. Since we don't know what the principal is to begin with, we leave that as P, and that's why the instructions say, what is the exponential growth function in terms of P and 0.04? So what that looks like is P times E to the 0.04 T.
Okay, so would you like, so then you solve further from there, or do you leave it like that?
I'm putting this part in to see what the next question is. And so the next part says, if 5,000 is invested, what is the balance after 3 years? Again, your numbers might be different.
Sorry, I'm like typing it in, it's not working.
Oh no, you're fine. So for my model, I'm going to put 5,000 in for P. And 3 in for T. And so what we need to do here is we just need to evaluate this. So what that means by evaluate, we pull up our calculator. And we're going to put 5,000 times, and then to get to the E part, you know, we do second, and then we hit the ln key because it gives us e to the x. And we're going to put in here 0.04 times 3 and parentheses. So again, you can enter this whole thing into your calculator, let it do the work for you. You don't have to think too hard about this. So then we end up with $5,637.4842, blah, blah, blah. They want us to round to the nearest cent, which means 2 decimal places. So we're gonna do 5,637.48 for me. Again, I don't know what your numbers are. So the last question that this asks, and this is the hardest part of this, my opinion personally, is part C says, when will the investment of 5,000 double itself? So when will the investment of 5,000 double? So if we're doubling it, that means one is going to equal 10,000. So what that looks like is that we're going to put 10,000 in for P of T. We're going to keep the 5,000 in for P because that's our initial investment. But then we don't know the time period, so it's going to be times E to the 0.04 T. So what do I want to do at this point? Obviously, we need to get to T, right? That's where we're trying to get. So in order to get to T, oh, go ahead, Taylor, I'm sorry.
Did you ask us what we were doing next, or you sorry?
Yeah, no, what would you do next?
Divide the 5,000.
Yeah, so
Sides.
We'll divide both sides by 5,000. Because again, we're trying to get to T. In order to get to T, we have to isolate E, because E, remember, is a number, it's not a variable. So dividing both sides, we end up with 2 equals E to the 0.04 T. So it's an exponential equation with a variable in the exponent, which means we have to undo this, which means we need to take the natural log of both sides. So taking the natural log of both sides leaves me with ln of 2 equals ln of E to the 0.04 T. So what happens to this exponent part once we take that natural log? Where does it go?
Does it multiply or divide in?
So we need to bring it down from the exponent. So we're going to bring it down in the front using what we call the power rule, right? Remember, the power rule says that this can now go down here. So we'll have ln of 2 equals 0.04 T times ln of E. Remember, ln of E is just equal to 1. So we can drop that part, giving us the ln of 2 equals 0.04 T.
Trying to figure out, because mine's like, so mine, instead of the I think you had 5,000, I had 7,000,
Mm-hmm.
and it's giving me like 17.32, and I don't know why.
Well, because you need to put 14,000 in instead of 10,000.
Okay.
Because if your initial investment is 7,000 and saying how long does it take to double, then that means you need to put 14,000 in on the left-hand side, because we're just taking whatever your initial investment is, multiplying it by 2.
And then you divide it by, well, because I had, 14,000 because it's times 2. So then I divide it by 2 and I get 7,000. So then, oh, I'm really confused.
So yours should still look like mine at this green step.
Okay. And then I just have to solve it from there.
Right. So everything that I'm doing in blue, if you had, so you had 4% for your investment, right, as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So just because your initial investment is different doesn't mean that once you divide both sides by it, because we're doubling it, we're still going to end up with 2 equals E to the blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then from here, we're going to take both sides and we're going to divide it by 0.04. So T is equal to, and then you want to put this whole thing into your calculator, the ln of 2 over 0.04. So when we put that in, we do ln of 2. We have to end our parenthesis before we can do division of 4. And so the time is 0.17328. Why? Oh, because I'm dividing by 4, not 0.04. Woo! ln of 2 divided by 0.04. I was like, it can't be 0.17. 0.17, and it took 3 years just to get to 5,600. What did I do wrong? No, I forgot a decimal point, right? So this is giving me 17.328, blah, blah, blah. And it says round to the nearest 10th of a year. So that means we're going to do 17.3 years.
So I did have it originally. I was really confused. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. So, and again, it's 10th of a year. So underneath, right, that blue, purple, whatever color writing you want to say it is, underneath the word years, that's where we put this in. And that's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. More questions? All the questions.
I know I have questions, and it's just without seeing the questions, I don't know if I need help on it or not. Kind of this, my brain is just absolutely fried. We're kind of just walking into this and hope for the best at this point.
That's okay. Remember, show your work, right? Like, I know that's a frustrating thing, but best case scenario, you show your work for everything and you get
absolutely.
some points, right?
Totally,
So
yeah.
always show everything, even if you're like, let's just put that into a calculator. Write down what you put into the calculator, because you saw I just made a baby mistake, right? I put divided by 4 instead of 0.04, and I was like, well, I could have just gone with it. I mean, I monitored myself based upon the previous problem, but still, like, if you're in a test in that moment, you're gonna like panic and just go, well, this is what I got. And then I can look at that and go, oh, they just missed the decimal. And that's like most of the points, right? 3/4 of the points versus just a point or half the points or whatever. So if you show your work, you will always earn at least half credit on every single problem. That is my thing. If you make a small, tiny rounding error, I only take off 1/4 of a point, right? Like I don't know if you've ever paid attention to my grading, when you see the numbers that I give back, like that's what those represent. Like, do they know what they're doing? Was it a baby error? There we go.
And I haven't checked yet. I know you posted it, but yeah, our test 5 right now coming up, that's mainly going to be these logarithm problems and
and it's going to be the payment
interest
formulas for the beginning, the account balance formulas from the beginning. So it's everything that we just did on the quiz from last week, plus then the log stuff that we just had.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're not comfortable with log stuff, remember, it's only half the test, right? Or theoretically speaking, it should only be half the test. If you don't have any questions about Unit 5, are there final exam questions that you have from the review?
I mean, man, yeah, all of it, I guess. I mean, feel pretty confident, but like without, it's hard. My brain is just so full. It's so hard for me to like think of a problem. I'm sure when I get to that test, I'm gonna sit down and be like, oh, I should have asked about this, but like, kind of like
Yeah.
maybe if I open up my book, maybe flip to a couple of these problems, but off the top of my head, it's so hard for me to point out one particular thing that, a lot of it's, for instance, when I did that last quiz for you, And again, I mentioned I didn't really even look at that sheet, so trying to memorize like all that stuff clearly didn't work very good. But yeah, I guess just getting more familiar with those, or just kind of trying to go through that. And it's just, yeah, I hate to make excuses, but you understand. End of semester, I got like a ridiculous amount of stuff in that A&P class to study for right now. My brain's just like,
I can't even imagine.
ugh.
Like I said, I thought about going in the medical field and then I went, oh no, there's chemistry and A&P. Hard pass.
I know they told me that there's never been a student from the Libby campus to ever get an A in A&P, and so far I got a 94%. So I'm trying so damn hard.
Challenge accepted.
Right. So it's like putting it on that pedestal. Now it's like, I wish I would have done that because.
Well, that was mean of them to say as well. I don't like to share that kind of stuff because that's undue pressure, right? Like,
Right.
that's not nice.
I know. And then of course telling everybody at the campus, like, well, I'm gonna be that student, but now, talk about lighting a fire into my butt. It's like, okay, well, time to own up what you admitted. So geez.
Oh, I'm looking through the final review and I'm looking to see what we haven't done in a while that you all might go, I don't remember this. This looks hard. So
Sounds like a good idea.
Also, could we go through number 32 on the final review?
yes.
Cool.
Telephone company. Oh yeah, this problem. We had this problem on an exam. So, telephone company offers two different options. Plan A costs $4.95 per month. Plus, why am I doing two S's? It's not plus, it's just plus. 2 cents per minute. And he costs $2 per month. Plus 4 cents per minute. Net. Okay. Get rid of this calculator that's obviously blocking everything. So thinking about this, it can be confusing because they're giving us basically two rates, right? They're giving us money per month plus money per minute. And what I want you to think about is write the equations for 1 month, meaning don't worry about it being $4.95 per month. Just be like, okay, the initial cost is $4.95, then I'm adding on that 2 cents per minute, right? So if we think about plan A, the cost is going to be $4.95 plus 2 cents per minute. And yes, you can write it as 0.02 M plus $4.95, right? Whatever you want. I'm just following what it says in the sentence. Which then for plan B, the cost is going to be $2 per month plus an additional 4 cents per minute. Now, they want to know for what number of minutes will the two plans cost the same. So what you should do is eliminate C eliminate C, because we're trying to solve for M here. So if we think about the elimination method or the substitution method, it doesn't matter which one we use, because it doesn't tell us we have to use a specific one, right? My preference is substitution. And so we can see that these both equal C, right? So that means we can set the two equations equal to each other, meaning we can do 4.95 plus 2m equals 2 plus 4m. Because we're trying to solve for m. Forget how much the cost is. We don't care what it is. We just want to know the number of minutes, right? So I'm going to let you all solve for m. Send me your answer in a direct message, and I'm going to check the work on the side, and we can all compare to what we get. Don't round your answer. You don't always have to move your variables to the left and everything else to the right. So the reason why I say that is that our m's are bigger on the right. It's okay to move the m's to the right. I try to keep my values positive. I don't like to deal with negatives because inevitably I forget that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So if I can keep everything positive, I choose to. So what I mean is I'm going to subtract 0.02 m from both sides. And bring that 495 down. Why am I writing a double plus? Oh, geez. So 0.04 divided by or minus 0.02 gives us 0.02 m. Now I'm going to subtract $2 from both sides, which gives me 2.95 equal to 0.02 m. Divide by 0.02, and I get 147.5 minutes is equal to m. So for 147.5 minutes, the plans will be the same. So I think a place that it's easy to go wrong here is to get caught up in the fact that they're giving us what we would consider two rates, right? So much money per month, so much money per minute. And think about pricing this again as what is it for 1 month? So ignore that per month part for the first two rates and just focus on how much is it per minute, given that those amounts are our initial quantities, right? So we're writing those equations with our starting point, and then we're adding on a certain amount per minute after that. Taylor,
Yeah,
did you have any other questions about that problem?
No, this clears it up a lot better than the instructions they give you on the review. They actually like take out the decimals completely, and that was really confusing because we didn't go over it that way, but this makes way more sense.
Yeah, I try not to overcomplicate it. What they're doing is that they're multiplying everything by 100, which clears your decimals, and then you're dealing with non-decimal numbers. But to me, that just seems like an extra step. We have calculators. There's no big deal as to why we can't deal with the decimals. And I'm like, just go forward from there.
Yep,
If I could control how they tell you to do the problems, I would, but the publisher doesn't listen to us, and they can't fix the problem just for me and my students when these problems are used by, instructors all over the United States. But there's a lot of their examples and explanations that I do not care for personally, and I don't think are well written, but again, it's out of my hands. So, but I'm glad this helped. More questions?
No, that was great. Any problems that you think might be difficult? You probably have a better idea of the list that most students fail on, kind of maybe this was a great example of something to study because I wouldn't have thought of this, but it was nice trying over it again.
Right. Well, I think this one's weird. So this is number something. What number am I talking about right here?
32.
No, that was 32. I'm talking about number 7. So number 7, on the review says in one class, homework is worth 45% of the grade. Each of 3 projects is worth 15%, and the final exam is worth 10%. Part A says if a student has an 83 homework average and a 96 on the first product, what is the student's grade at this point? And then part B is about predicting what the grade will be based upon what you're getting. So let's focus on part A first. So homework is 45% of the grade. And projects, of which there are 3, and that's 15% each. And then the final is 10%. First off, let's make sure that we actually added this all to the right. So homework is 45 plus 3 projects at 15% each, plus the final does in fact give us, because 45 and 15 makes 60, plus another 30 is 90, plus 10 does in fact give us 100. So they put it out properly. So part A says, if a student has an 83 homework average and a 96 on the first project, what is their grade? So this is going back to the work that we did in unit 1 with weighted averages, okay? So remember, a weighted average is the amount times the weight, the sum of those for your numerator, times the sum of the weights. So homework is an 83, 45% of the grade. So we would do 0.45 times 83 plus 15% times 96. And that's out of the sum of the weights. And so the sum of the weights so far is just those 2 grades. That's all we've gotten so far. That's all the weights that we've used. So again, the numerator is the sum of the weights times the individual amounts over the sum of the weights. So again, these are your weights. The percents you're getting for each category, those would be considered your weights. And then what you've gotten so far are your grades. So we're doing the numerator, which gives us 51.75 over the sum of the weights 0.6, giving us 86.25. It says to round to the nearest 10th. So we would have an 86.3% so far. So part B says, if the same student from part A gets 75 on the second project and 78 on the third project, what is the lowest grade the student can get on the final exam to get an 80 overall in the course? So homework, 83, project 1, 96, project 2, 75, project 3, 78, and final, we're going to put in as X. So if we put in these amounts times their weights, again, we have 0.45 times 83 plus 0.15 times 96 plus 0.15 times 75 plus 0.15 times 78. And I'm running out of room, so let's shift this to the left. Plus 0.1 times X. All divided by the sum of the weights. And that has to equal 80 at minimum, right? We're saying, what is the minimum amount we need for X in order to get 80? When we add up the denominator, it equals 1. So we can just rewrite this without the denominator and solve from there. And I want you to tell me what x is equal to. So I got 53, which when I put it into my thing, my homework question on here, it's correct. But I'm getting a ton of 57.5s. And the second time I did it, I came up with 57.5. And so I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, I know why. I wrote 93 here. It's supposed to be a 96 because we're using the amount from the two amounts from the first part. So they should have a 96 on the first project and an 83 on the homework average. I don't know why I wrote down when I went from the first line up here, right? When I went from here, down to the next one, I wrote 93. So I apologize, everyone. So when we add up this portion right here, we should get 74.7 plus 0.1x equals 80. So we subtract 74.7 from both sides. And we get 0.1x equals 5.3. So then when we divide by 0.1, x is equal to 53 points. So they need to get 53 points on the final. Another one that deals with this exact problem that was missed so many times on the test. The company has 15 employees with a salary of 21,500. 9 employees with a salary of 23,300. 16 with 26,800. 2 with 32,100. And 1 with a salary of 147,000. Rude. Find the mean salary. Round to the nearest 100. FYI, this problem, make sure I wrote it down. 23, 3, 168, 31. Ah, I forgot to give you guys this one. Poop. There's supposed to be 5. This is what happens when I copy. There should be 5 with a salary of 37,400, and then 1 with a salary of 147,400. So can you all see this Excel file? Okay. So in my math lab, when you get this problem, can you see this little button right here, right after the 147? If you press that, it asks you how you want to open it. We can choose to open it in Excel. Now, this is a weighted average. You can do this on your test. This is completely legal to do this on your test. I am fine with this. You just need to write down the work that you're doing. Because what we want to do is we want to take the number of employees times the salary for each of them, add that all up and divide by the total number of employees we have, right? Well, you can use your skills that we've done in Excel because that's part of our class, right? So if we think about this, we want to do equals the employees times the salary. And if we fill this down, it fills in everybody that we did, right? So we can find the sum of this. I know it's really tiny writing. Let me see if I can get this to blow up. I guess I have to increase the font size. So, oh, there we go. We can zoom in. There we go. Now we're figuring it out. Okay, so here I did the sum, right? And if I sum the employees, and then I take this amount, I'm just doing it here because I need a place to do it. We get $28,325. But what is the place that we all make mistakes on this problem? It wants you to round to the nearest 100, not hundredth as in penny, but 100 as in this position right here. So that means that it should be 28,300. And if we pull up question box, I put in 27,300 because I forgot to include one. And here is the moment of truth. Excellent. So again, what I'm telling you is that this little box where it will copy the data for you, use that. It's totally fine. We have Excel on all of the computers that you're going to be taking these exams on. And so it will do this for you if this problem comes up on your exam. All you need to do is write down what you did so I know how you calculated it, okay? So our Google Sheet skills are necessary. We can use them, right? I didn't just do it for my own benefit and to watch you all hate me. There's a reason for it, okay? So again, what did we do? We took the sum of the number of employees times the amount that they earned, added that all up, because again, it's a weighted average, right? So the weight times the amount all over the sum of the weights, and the weights here are the number of employees. And then that gives us our average salary. Okay. Don't say. Questions on that one? I'm sorry, I forgot to include one, so that threw us all off, right? Let's see, what do we got next? What's weird in here? Oh, CPI. We want to talk about CPI? That fun thing? Okay. So I'm going to bring this question over so you all can see it. So suppose you need $43,000 to maintain a particular standard of living in 1981. How much would you need in 2007 to maintain the same standard of living? Assume that all prices have risen at the same rate as CPI. So I'm going to give you a little hint. When we're adjusting prices for inflation, we use the formula that says money in year X over money in year Y equals CPI in year X over CPI in year Y. Do with that what you think. Okay. The reason why I'm just giving you that is because when you take the final, that's what you'll have at your disposal, right? You'll have that formula. How do you use it? Okay. So, oh, geez, Louise. Sorry. Let me know if you need it any bigger. The instructions in the little parentheses say round to the nearest dollar. So that means you want to give me a whole number answer. So I personally like to put the reference year in the denominator. And by the reference year, I'm saying we're talking about 1981 and you need a certain amount of money to live in that time frame, which means that would be my reference year. So I'm going to put the money in 1981. I can't split this and do these things together, unfortunately. So 1981, it's 43,000. And the CPI in 1981 is 90.9. Which means we're talking about 2007. We don't know how much it's going to be in 2007. So we're going to put our variable above 43,000. And we need the CPI for 2007, which we can tell from the chart is 207.3. So we should have X over 43,000 equals 207.3 over 90.9, right? So again, this is the CPI in 2007, CPI in 1981, right? Is that the year that we're dealing with? 81, right? 90.9. And then this is money in 1981. And this eventually will be money in 2007, right? We don't know how much it is. So we're going to cross multiply. 90.9x equals 43,000 times 207.3. We then divide. And for X, we get 98,062. Nope, we're already rounding, Aaron. Put the rest of it there. 70627, right? Which they want to the nearest whole number. So we're going to say 98,063. So when adjusting these prices, remember there's two formulas that we have for CPI. This is the one that we want to use here, meaning year to year, CPI to CPI, meaning money to money, CPI to CPI, okay? When we did this exam, there was a lot of people finding the difference over the original and then trying to multiply, and that's just a far harder way to do it. Just do the proportion and you'll be able to get the answer, okay? So that basically takes us to our time. I don't want to get too far into this. Again, we have homework due tonight for 5F, exam due Wednesday for Unit 5, final due next week. Wednesday, if you have a chance, I know Wednesday's a crazy day because you guys are going to be taking your exams. But if you can look over the final review right before class maybe and pick out some more problems that you want me to go over. I have a feeling Wednesday, I know more than a feeling. Wednesday, I'm going to try to focus more on the probability stuff because that in the Venn diagram stuff, because I know that we all just went, what? I don't like that. And maybe get some of the linear stuff. So Wednesday is our last class day. We do not have class on Thursday because it is an exam week. You're already fulfilling that time commitment. So then Wednesday is the last time you'll have to ask me questions. So bring those questions, okay? Anything before we go?
So we can work on our final review, say tonight, and just kind of try to get it out of the way. Maybe a good idea so we can bring questions to you then.
Yeah, or
Okay.
I mean, if you'd rather focus on getting the chapter 5 test done and then work on the final review, that's fine. It's open now, so you can look at it. Don't even
Okay.
worry about necessarily doing the problems. Just go through it and like click through the problems and look at it. And any ones where you initially go, oh God, I don't remember that. Write it down. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have a good week. Good luck with everything. I know this week is insane and next week will be insane, but email me if you have questions, okay? And I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye.